This is a short story that we're going to read to help you to use in your diversity paper. And the diversity that you'll find is among the skills of the sons. The Cowtail Switch, a Liberian folktale, near the edge of the Liberian rainforest on a hill overlooking the Calvary River, was the village of Kunde. Its rice and cassava fields spread in all directions. Cattle grazed in the grassland near the river. Smoke from the fires in the round clay houses seeped through the palm leaf roofs, and from a distance these faint columns of smoke seemed to hover over the village. Men and boys fished in the river with nets, and women pounded grain in the wooden mortars before the house. Let me show you a picture so that you can get an understanding of the setting. This is the Liberian forest, very green and lush. There are some dry grasses. This is their rice and cassava fields. So this is where they get their food. This is crops that they raise. So between hunting animals in the Liberian forest and raising their crops, they have their food. This is what the women do to make their food. They pound on it with sticks and they mash the corn until it's to a mush. This is the houses that they live in. And you don't see smoke going up, but you would see smoke if they had fires going inside the house. But they're made of between mud, clay, and straw. In a little bit, they're going to talk about the manuka. It's sweet tapioca pan-fried cakes. It's made with some of the products that they raise in their fields. And in a bit we're going to talk about sinews and flesh. Well, I'll tell you about that more later. In this village, with his wife and many children, live a hunter by the name of Ogalusa. One morning, Ogalusa took his weapons down from the walls of his house and went to the forest to hunt. His wife and his children went to tend their fields and drove their cattle out to graze. The day passed, and they ate their evening meals of manuka and fish. Darkness came, but Ogalusa didn't return. Another day went, and still Ogalusa didn't come back. They talked about it and wondered what could have detained him, what could have kept him. A week passed, then a month. Sometimes Ogalusa's sons mentioned after a while they no longer talked about Ogalusa's disappearance. Then one day another son was born to Ogalusa's wife. His name was Puli. Puli grew older. He began to talk, and the first thing he said was, "Where's my father?" And the other sons looked across the rice field. "Yes," one of them said, "where is father?" "He should have returned long ago," another one said. "Something must have happened. We ought to look for him," the third son said. "He went into the forest, but where will we find him?" another one asked. "I saw him go," one of them said. "He went that way, across the river. Let us follow the trail and search for him." While they were deep among the great trees and vines of the forest, they lost the trail. They searched in the forest until one of them found it again. They followed it until they lost the way once more, and then another son found the trail. It was dark in the forest, and many times they became lost. Each time another son found the way. At last they came to a clearing among the trees, and there on the ground, scattered about, lay Ogalusa's bones and his rusted weapons. They knew then that Ogalusa had been killed in the hunt. One of the sons stepped forward and said, "I know how to put a dead person's bones together." He gathered all of Ogalusa's bones and put them together, each in its right place. Another said, I have knowledge too. I know how to cover the skeleton with sinews and flesh." He went to work and covered Agala's bones with sinews and flesh. And there's a picture of the sinews and flesh. A third said, "I have power to put blood in the body." He went forward and put blood into Ogalusa's veins, and then he stepped aside. Another of the sons said, "I can breathe into a body." He did his work, and when he was through, they saw Ogalusa's chest rise and fall. "I can give the power of movement to a body," another said. He put the power of movement into his father's body, and Ogalusa sat up and opened his eyes. "I can give him the power of speech," another son said. He gave his father the power of speech, and then he stepped back. Ogolosa looked around, eyed his son suspiciously for a moment. Then he said, "Where's my weapons?" One by one, they lifted his rusted weapons from where they lay in the grass like the bones of a simple machine, and then they gave them to him. Then they returned the way they had come, through the forest and the rice fields, until they had arrived once more in the village. Ogoloso went into his house. His wife prepared a bath for him, and he bathed. She prepared food for him, and he ate. She prepared the bed for him, and he slept. 4 days he remained in the house, and on the fifth day he came out and shaved his head, because this is what people did when they came back from the land of the dead. Afterwards, he killed a cow for a great feast. He took the cow's tail and braided it and decorated it with beads, county shells, and bits of shiny metal. So when he killed the cow to make a feast, he also cut off the tail. And then in that, just like women braid their hair like this, they braided their hair. They braided the hair of the tail, and inside that they also put beads. So it was very, very special, and it was symbolic to him. It was a beautiful thing. Ogelosa carried it with him to important affairs. When there was a dance or an important ceremony, he always had it with him. The people of the village thought it was the most beautiful cowtail switch they'd ever seen. Many asked to see it, and while holding it, felt an immense beauty and sensed its inherent power in their hands. Soon there was a celebration in the village because Ogelosa had returned from the dead. The people dressed in their best clothes. The musicians brought out their instruments, and a big dance began. The drummers beat their drums, and the women sang. The people drank much palm wine. Everyone was happy. Okaloosa carried his cowtail switch, and everyone admired it. Some of the men grew bold and came forward to Okaloosa and asked for the cowtail switch, but Okaloosa kept it in his hand. Now and then there was a clamor, a kind of, "Wow, I want that, I want that," and much confusion as many people shouted and asked for it at once. The women and children begged for it too, but Okaloosa refused them all. Finally, he stood up to talk. The dancing stopped, and people came close to hear what Okaloosa had to say. A long time ago, I went to the forest. I didn't know that day that I wouldn't return. Who here knows the day he will die? The crowd looked at one another and murmured in agreement. Neither the men nor the women, nor the boys nor the girls, knew when their time would come. Okaloosa continued, "While I was hunting, I was killed by a leopard. She was a fierce and worthy adversary, and dragged me high and low, and tossed me left and right. But I fought with all my mind, with all my might, and all my heart, until I had no more of either. She was fast and smart. And in my last thought, I prayed that my sons might have this leopard's body and her mind, her strength and her intelligence, her wonder, her beauty." The crowd murmured in agreement again, as many of them had seen this beautiful, graceful, strong leopards that lived in the forest beyond the village. It took time for my sons to search for me. Young people, they get lost in their own world. But they arrived and saw my pale bones and rested weapons, and the position in which my body fell at the battle's end. Each one did his part, breathed life in me, stitched my bones together. They brought me back from the dead. They showed that they are becoming smart and strong like the leopard. So this is your line that you're going to want to remember for your diversity paper. This is one that you probably want to copy and put in your notes. "Who will you give the cowtail to?" shouted the voice from the crowd. "Yes," said another. "Who will receive the cowtail switch?" "There is only one," said Ogaloosa, looking at the braided jewel cowtail in his hand. "There's only one. I shall give the cowtail." Let's see, I need to move that. "Who did the most to bring me home." An argument started. "He will give it to me," one of the sons said. "It was I who did the most, for I found the trail in the forest when we were lost." "No, he will give it to me," another son said. "It was I who put his bones together." It was I who covered his bones with sinews and flesh, another said. He'll give it to me. It was I who gave him the power of movement, another son said. I deserve it most. Another son said he who should have the switch because he had put blood into Ogolos' veins. Another claimed it was because he had put breath in the body. Each of the sons argued his right to possess the wonderful Cowtail switch. Before long, not only the sons, but the other people of the village were talking. Some of them argued that the son who had put blood in Ogolos' veins should get the switch. Others, that the one who had given Ogolos breath should get it. Some of them believed that all of the sons had done equal things and they should share it. They argued back and forth this way until Ogolos asked them to be quiet. To this son I will give the Cowtail switch, for I owe most to him, Ogolos said. He came forward and bent low and handed the beautiful switch to Puli, the little boy who had been born while Ogolos was in the forest. The people of the village remembered that the child's first word had been, Where is my father? They knew that Ogolos was right, for it was a saying among them that a man is not really dead until he's forgotten. And he bent down lowly, gently extended his hand and his cowtail switch to his youngest smiling son. So he got the towel because he's the one that got all of the brothers to go look for their dad. But the quote that you need to remember the most is the one that shows for our diversity paper is each one did his part. Breathe life. They all did their own part, but they all did different things. They had different talents, but they brought those talents together and were able to do something great, like bring their father back. Okay, so at this time, you need to go over to your paper, and let's see. Let me put this on pause for a sec. Okay, so on this paper right here, you need to come down here, and this is going to be one of the fictional stories down here in section 5. So you're going to put down here, you're going to give a summary of the story, which is 7 sons with 7 different talents. Was able to bring their father back bring their father back to life, being killed by a leopard. It took all of their talents to accomplish this. Just like it takes all talents, it takes a variety of talents to achieve great things. And then I would also, now this needs to be in your words, not my words. If everybody has the same words, then it's not going to look good. All right. But you need to make sure that you have this quote popped in here because you're going to want to use this quote. Now, you also want to make sure that you put down the story that you're using. This is the Cowtail. Cowtails. Okay. And then over here, you're going to put down what is your feelings? What did you like about the source? Can you connect it to your life? Why or not? So for me, I know that in my family, for us to get things done, we have to work together. My husband takes out meat to thaw. I get home, then I cook it, and then he cleans up. So we work together, all right? And we're able to accomplish a great meal. So that's my take on it. You do whatever you. This has to be yours, so make sure you're doing it on your own. Okay, do it from your perspective. This is just an example. All right. See you on the next one.